All right, Braves fans, let's get rolling. I'm George McNair, and this is State of the Braves. Well, guys, I was really hoping that I could come on today's episode and just be really excited to talk about the debut of Hurston Waldrop, the Braves. I guess technically number two prospect. I mean, you could kind of debate between him and Smith Shawver as the one and two in the Braves organization, but nonetheless, maybe the most hyped Braves prospect made his debut today on the mound. And so I was really hoping to come to you guys talking about his dominant performance, maybe a great Braves offensive performance too. Maybe they would snap out of their offensive doldrums, that sort of thing. But unfortunately, I can't really do any of that. You know, Hurston Waldrop makes his debut for the Braves, which is still exciting, and congratulations to him. But all of that hope that was brought at the beginning of today was pretty much dashed. It was rather lifeless, another unfortunately lifeless performance by the Braves, and that's become all too common lately. Everything fell apart on Waldrop in the fourth inning. He was actually pretty dominant in the first three innings, but everything just fell apart in the fourth. And without sounding too negative, guys, it sure seems like that's just how this season has gone so far. I mean, I'm sure many of you are feeling the same way. Lots of promise, and then the team just falls flat, or you could say underperforms. Now, even though it ended really poorly today against the Nationals, I certainly don't think this is a referendum on Hurston Waldrop. He was, again, dominant in those first three innings. You could see his stuff was really, really good. 97, 98 mile an hour fastball. That great splitter that we've all heard about was on full display. Was striking some guys out, definitely getting a lot of swing and miss. And he was 1 out away from getting out of the whole thing in the fourth inning. And then he just could not get out of that inning. He comes out. I think he was down 4-2 at the time. Bummer comes in. First pitch gives up a bases clearing double after that and really broke the game wide open. All those runs go to Waldrop. So his line certainly does not look very good. But again, there were some signs of good on paper, but that has felt like this season. Just, some good. You have to kind of take the good with a lot of bad. And that was the case today. So, where I'm not going to spend a ton of time on Waldrop today. Hopefully, we're going to get to see him make several more starts. I'd love to see the Braves keep him up and give him an extended opportunity. We'll have to see on that one. But that's not where I'm going to go with this episode. I am going to lean into the Braves' offensive struggles a little bit more. I think many of you out there, I would say Braves country generally is maybe starting to lose some patience with this team and their underperformance, their offensive struggles. And I certainly am feeling that as well. I mean, it just has not been as fun of a season. Now, 2023, the regular season, we don't have to talk about how it ended, right, in the playoffs, but the regular season was one of the most fun regular seasons I can ever remember having as a Braves fan, right? Pretty much everything went right. The offense was dominant from start to finish. Just so many good moments, so many good comeback wins, so many games where the offense just went off and hit 5, 6 home runs. And we just haven't really had any of that this year. I mean, can you remember the last time we had a walk-off win? Can you remember the last time we had 4 or 5 home runs in a game or had a great comeback late? It has been few and far between for sure. So I really do want to lean into maybe one or two reasons why I think the Braves are particularly struggling, some areas that I think have to be addressed, and let's get into it. So where do the Braves stand at the end of today? Today being Sunday, they are now sitting at 35-28 on the season. So obviously 7 games over 500, 9 games behind the Phillies, who, let's be honest, have been the best team in baseball to this point. We can say all we want about them having an easier schedule than anybody else in baseball, but the Braves have had a pretty easy schedule as of late and have been pretty bad in the midst of that. So the Phillies have certainly been playing very good baseball, and the Braves have not. So yeah, a 9-game lead is pretty massive. Of course, it draws comparisons back to the 10.5-game lead that the Mets had on the Braves, but again, in a sober moment, we can see that the Phillies are probably a lot better, a lot sounder team, veteran team, playoff experienced team than those Mets were. So I think this is going to be a tougher hurdle to climb. And we also know that even if the Braves are not able to overcome this and get the NL East title back, that they can still win it all through the wild card, and maybe in some ways that's better with the current system in place. As dumb as I kind of think that is, but all that being said, okay, that's where we stand. We're 9 games back from the Phillies. You know, the Braves started fine. I mean, we were 18-6 to start the year. Everything looked good, and since then it has just been honestly pretty bad. The Braves are 17-22 since that time, and that includes a 6-10 stretch in their last 16 games, which have been, again, this is where their schedule was lightening up. I mean, the Pirates, then they went to the Nationals, then the Athletics, Red Sox, and of course back to the Nationals this past weekend, 4-game set. And so against not exactly a murderer's row of teams, the Braves have gone 6-10. So not pretty baseball to say the least, and a lot of low-scoring games, a lot of games that the pitching matchup looked really good for the Braves, and it just totally flipped. They weren't able to hit against pitchers you've never heard of before, or at least a matchup where you think, okay, maybe it's an even matchup between these two pitchers like Mackenzie Gore and Charlie Morton, that sort of thing. And they just are not able to do much of anything offensively against not necessarily bad pitchers. Mackenzie Gore is a good pitcher, I think, but you know, the difference is last year they probably would have put 5 or 6 up against a good pitcher like Gore. This year they're not able to do much at all. So, you know, um, it's still totally true, okay, that the Braves have the 4th best record in the National League. Um, Only 4 teams in the National League actually have winning records, so they have, you know, the 4th best record by a good bit. Uh, so they're, at least as of this moment, and we're still early in the year, relatively speaking, but they're still going to make the playoffs, right? But this was a team that was projected to be the best or second best team in baseball, right? Them and the Dodgers. I did a big episode comparing the two, and thinking, you know, that the Braves had a good argument that they could be the best, and I look kind of dumb after, you know, what has come down the road, though. I mean, I would still stand behind everything on paper, everything from 2022, 2023, all looked like this team was going to be dominant, and they simply haven't done it on the field. And we, of course, know that that's the thing that matters the most, and that's, of course, why we play the games, and it just hasn't gone very well for the Braves as of yet. But this team was projected to be great. They had won 104 games last year. They were basically bringing back the same team, adding Chris Sale, adding Ronaldo Lopez. I don't need to go into all of that, but right, everything looked so good. And you know, a lot of things have gone wrong for the Braves this year. So the more I watch this team, the more I think that they are in a mental and emotional funk. Everything that Brian Snitker says, you know, he's going to rebuff that. He says we're in a good place. Nobody's, you know, throwing water coolers or, you know, kicking walls or that sort of thing. But uh, it's a little hard for me to believe when I watch on the field. I'm seeing some evidence of some frustration. And of course, when you're losing, some of that is going to be natural. I want you to not enjoy losing. But yeah, I think there's some level of mental and emotional funk that is going on with this team, and I'm not sure how they're going to get out of it. I'm not saying they can't or won't. I'm just saying I'm not sure what the underlying issue is or the underlying solution. So following the 2023 regular season where everything went right, 2024 clearly has been the exact opposite for the Braves. In 2023, no deficit felt too big. You never felt like that team was out of a game, and they proved it time and time again that that was true. Of course, the other thing the 2023 team was incredibly good at was scoring first, jumping on teams early. And a lot of times in big ways, putting up 3, 4, 5 runs in the first inning, and then just putting a team away pretty much before the game had barely even started. In 2024, they're not scoring in the first very often, and they just seem more easily defeated. They get down. It's not that I think they're giving up or that they don't have the same heart, but it's like because they're struggling, the belief isn't quite there, and certainly they're just not able to do it like they were last year. They get down, they don't necessarily have the capacity or the confidence to come back. And everything just feels kind of blah. It's just blah. There's no excitement to this team, to this season. Even their wins are kind of blah. When they win, it's like 3-1, 4-2. Maybe they get a couple runs by, a ground ball or a sac fly, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the big innings and obviously the power is just not there this season. So do they have a reason to be thrown off of their game mentally? Well, sure. Okay, there's no shortage of reasons for that. I mean, I'm going to recount this very quickly because I don't want to belabor this too much. But of course, their best pitcher went down early on. Their best position player, one of the best position players in all of baseball, is gone for the season. They've had multiple other smaller injuries that I think have hampered some of their best players from production and probably thrown off their timing, like Austin Riley and Murphy and Ozzie have all been on the IL. Nearly every position player other than Marcell Ozuna is playing well below their career numbers and their offseason projections. So, 2023 was maybe a little bit of an outlier in terms of everybody, pretty much everybody for the Braves had career years or close to it. Or, maybe a couple guys just had their normal years. But, as a group, it was tremendous. You think about Acuna's 40-70. You think about Olson's 54 home runs, all that stuff, right? Ozuna had a career high in home runs. So all of that was true in 2023. And all those projections, well, they're just not being met. It's it's honestly offensively worse than I could have even imagined their floor being. I thought their floor was a little higher than this, and I've been proven wrong on that. Now, again, we're a third of the way through the season, basically at this point, just a little bit more than a third of the way through. But Austin Riley with 3 home runs, is he going to finish with what, 9 or 10 home runs for the season? This doesn't seem realistic. It doesn't seem right. So all of this is just, I don't know how to take it as a Braves fan, but Snit, of course, is the consummate patient manager, right? And he has that ho-hum approach. Like, I believe in my guys. We'll get them tomorrow. We have to move on. And it's starting to wear on me a little bit. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I've always appreciated his patience, and maybe I'm just being still too impatient. Maybe I'm the problem, but I do wonder if a different approach to this specific team might be better. A kick in the pants, right? I mean, would that be beneficial to some of these guys to get them going? Maybe not, right? Maybe it would be the worst thing you could do. I do, and I've had this idea multiple times. What's the real impact of losing Ron Washington, right? I'm not saying he was the be all end all. I'm not saying he's everything about what's went wrong with this team is him leaving, but he is gone. He is not a part of this clubhouse, and I do wonder how he would have handled some of these struggles just behind the scenes with some of these guys. But again, maybe I'm just being too impatient, and 2 weeks from now, everything's going to snap back into place, and Snit will be proven right once again. But it's just undeniably pretty frustrating right now, through all these struggles and quite honestly failures, how just not much is being done about it at this point. I wouldn't expect Anthopoulos to do anything. I mean, you can't really make many big time trades in early June, and he did so much, honestly, I think, to set up this team for success. So I don't blame him at all. And I don't necessarily blame Snit, but at some point, I think the manager does have to address when his team is underperforming so much. whatever is or isn't being felt in the clubhouse emotionally, right, or mentally, there is at least one on the field deficit that I've seen that's become, well, I mean, it's been pretty obvious to me from the beginning, and I'm just uh, really baffled as to when did this happen and why is this such a problem. And that problem is hitting the fastball. One thing that has been very obvious to me all year long has been how the Braves miss fastballs, and not just fastballs on the corners. I mean, we're talking hard of the plate, hitters count, fastballs coming, and they foul it back. Um, and they're just not squaring it up, right? They're not doing damage against the fastball. And this is especially weird because last year, it's so easy to forget what was not that long ago. But last year, if you guys remember, the Braves were historically good and historically good against the fastball. I mean, they were so good at hitting velocity, like high velocity stuff. They talk about it all the time, how the Braves were just so good at punishing fastballs. And if you do that, it's the most common pitch in baseball. If you can hit the fastball and then adjust to other stuff, that's basically the key to hitting. And the Braves have not been able to do damage against fastballs this year. And I don't really know why that is, but this has been backed up by the numbers, by the analytics. The Braves are not hitting fastballs. So per Baseball Savant, you can go to that website, check this out for yourself, maybe do a deeper dive than I'm going to present today. But nearly every Brave is hitting the fastball with less consistency than they did in 2023 and than they typically have throughout their career. So again, even if you want to say 2023 is a little bit of an outlier, everybody was just hitting the ball at such a high rate last year. Okay, throw out 2023. They're still hitting below their career averages. The players that especially stand out by how much worse they are against the fastball this year are, and this probably won't surprise you, are Austin Riley, Matt Olson, Sean Murphy, and Ozzie Albies. Okay, so let's dive into each one of these just a little bit. So Austin Riley, I think Austin has struggled more than anybody this year. His numbers kind of prove that out. I think, the time he had to spend on the IL really stunk. It certainly probably didn't help. And I do think he's been a little unlucky on some balls in play as well. But all that being said, he has been off this year. And in a way that I don't think he has really throughout his entire career. All right, so Austin actually started struggling against the fastball last year. The numbers back that up, but nothing like this year. So this year he is hitting a paltry 118 against the fastball and 191 slugging percentage to go along with that. And, by the way, he also hasn't done much damage against sliders this year either, which he typically has done well with. And, you would think, okay, maybe he's focusing more on off speed. He's not hitting the fastball, but he's crushing the slider. He's not really doing that either. What's concerning to me with Austin is he crushed fastballs in 2021. It was the pitch he did best against. And then in 2022, he was still pretty good against fastballs. He was kind of good across the board in 2022. Last season, it flipped a little bit. He wasn't very good against fastballs, but he still could do some damage against it, still hit some home runs against fastballs. So his batting average wasn't quite as high, but, still did damage. And he was really good against most other pitches last year as well. So something's kind of changed where he's not quite as quick on fastballs, or the timing or something's off there over the last year and a half now, but especially this year. And it's very evident. And, pitchers are throwing more and more fastballs to him, and he's still not catching up. Now, I have seen some recent signs. Maybe some of that's turning around. He hit a couple hard balls against fastballs today against the Nationals. Again, right at guys. Some bad luck. So I'm not ignoring that bad luck. It's been a part of it, but it can't be. I mean, even still, his expected batting average against these fastballs um, isn't that much higher than his 118 average. So right now, he simply can't hit the fastball very consistently, and so pitchers are throwing more and more fastballs to Riley. So I read that as it's really a timing issue that he is still not totally figured out yet. He's too good of a hitter for this to go on forever, but I don't know. I mean, it's gone on a long time now, so he's got to figure it out. All right, Matt Olson. Olson absolutely annihilated fastballs last year on his way to 54 homers. He hit 319 with a 633 slugging percentage against fastballs last year, and he was good against basically every pitch last year. But it all started with him regularly smoking good fastballs, and this year it's just not the case. So Olson has been a little better. Shown some more power. He is hitting the ball hard. A lot of the commentators will talk about that as Olson is still hitting the ball hard. I did an episode not too long ago talking about him. He's still kind of pulling the ball too much, and I think that's actually causing him to not square up the fastball as often, and then he's weaker on some of the other pitches as well. So again, maybe he'll lock in, or maybe he's starting to lock in now, but he simply crushed fastballs last year, and he's just not doing it this year. All right, Sean Murphy. It may be somewhat unfair to judge Murphy too harshly yet, right? He was out for so long to start the season with that oblique strain. But the fact is, the Braves need him to start hitting like he did in the first half of 2023. So in 2023, he was best against the fastball compared to any other pitch. He hit 318 with a 645 slugging percentage against fastballs. The fact is, pitchers didn't throw him many fastballs. They really started going away from that, and that's probably one reason why he started to struggle a little bit more in the second half. But he just hasn't done too much damage. Now he hasn't been terrible against fastballs in 2024, and again, he hasn't seen much playing time yet. He's hitting 273, but again, he just hasn't done a lot of damage yet. So hopefully he can get into some more games and really start, carrying the freight again. All right, Ozzie Albies. So Ozzie, of course, set career highs in home runs and RBIs in 2023. In 2023, he hit 298 with a 596 slugging percentage against fastballs. In 2024, 263, which isn't terrible. 447 slugging percentage. Again, not terrible, but nothing incredible. And he went a long time without a home run. He's thankfully hit one in Boston a few days ago, but it's just not, no, it just seems like not many Braves are hitting fastballs with any kind of authority. Kelenic hit a fastball in the ninth inning today. That was nice to see. Hopefully he can get on a hot streak. We haven't really seen him go on a power binge yet. So he's another one that could really use it as well. So look, two things can be true at the same time, right? 2023 was a career year for most Braves. So perhaps we should expect them to fall back to earth a little bit. But again, 2024 numbers generally, and more specifically against fastballs, are still well below most players' career numbers. And, by the way, Ronald fit into this discussion as well before his injury. His fastball numbers were totally flipped this year too. So it's almost a team-wide thing, and it just makes you wonder, like, what's going on? Why would the team almost entirely as a whole be hitting fastballs worse, and like a lot worse? Why are the 2024 Braves so bad against the fastball, the pitch that you were supposed to look for and be ready to hit in any count? I don't know the answer to that. I wish I did. So look, it's not that teams are coming in with some brilliant plan to defeat the Braves offense this year. They're just noticing, oh, they're not squaring up my fastball. I'll keep throwing it until they hit it, and they're not hitting it. And so the Braves are seeing more fastballs, and they're not hitting the fastballs. And that's kind of, I know it's simplified, but that's a lot of what's going on here. So look, maybe the Braves changed up their preparation in spring training. Maybe they did some things different that, looking back, didn't work. Maybe it's simply a combination of baseball being baseball, right? Things evening out. You had such a great year in 2023. It flips in 2024. Injuries taking the timing away from a lot of guys. Not everybody can use that excuse. or maybe they're starting to press and the frustration is actually getting to them despite them saying it's not. I kind of suspect it's probably a combination of all the above. Um, but in the end, right, this team has to start hitting the fastball to be a consistently good offense again, right? They're going to have to do it without Ronald Acuna, but they still have tremendous amount of power and ability with the guys they have. I mean, even if we aren't talking about the trade deadline and bringing somebody in, um, the fact is, if everybody just starts hitting and hitting the fastball, we won't even need to talk about that. 17 homers combined have been hit from Olson, Riley, Ozzie, and Murphy this year. Only 3 again from Austin Riley. It just doesn't seem real. I so want Riley to get going. One of my favorite Braves, and I know it's been hard for him and frustrating for him. I hope he's not just lost. I hope he has a plan of what's wrong and how to fix it. So, once we start seeing guys do damage against the fastball, I think we will start watching the best version of this team again. But as a Braves fan, I know you guys are feeling this. It's been frustrating because you know what they're capable of doing, and they're just not doing it. So, hang in there, Braves fans. I sure am. I'm not leaving this team behind. So we just gotta hope that it turns around soon, and it certainly can. And especially if it turns around in the second half of the season and into the playoffs, it can be a really, really fun end of the year. So hopefully that's what will happen. So guys, thanks for listening to another episode of Stay the Braves. I'll talk to you soon.